And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, the Flames get set for the postseason. The NHL's second season is all set to go. And Sing conquers Augusta. All that and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. It has been a while. We've been preempted for the past couple of weeks as we follow the Moncton Wildcats and their chase for Quebec Major Junior Hockey Supremacy. Memorial Cup coming up in Halifax as well. That's going to be a good tournament. We'll keep you posted on all the scores. Nice to welcome back into the chair Bruce McDonald. It has been a long time since we've chatted with you. How you been?
I've been busy, really busy. I've been all over the Maritimes working, and it's great to be back on the show again.
Let's just mention real quick as well, you have a new title when it comes to baseball around the St. John area. Give us the details about that.
I'm God Almighty. No,
Excuse me, Your Highness.
No, I've taken over as president of the New Brunswick Junior Baseball League, so Fabulous. I've been with that league for the last 2 or 3 years as secretary, treasurer, statistician, whatever you want to call me, but basically the key, I think, in my mind, the reason I got this job is because no one ran against me. So I'm now the president of the league.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And if you're looking to find Bruce to give him any grief, he'll be over at Memorial Field most of the summer season. Let's start with the St. John Flames, as we normally do this time of the year. Flames are in the postseason, had a chance to grab on to first place in the Atlantic Division. We were talking about this earlier. You seem to think that they didn't want to win these two games. They lost 3-2 Friday night here at home. Huge crowd at Harbour Station. Good to see that. Then they lost 3-1 at Le Colisée on Saturday. You seem to be under the belief that they didn't want to finish first in the Atlantic Division because they didn't want to end up playing Providence in the first round. They wanted to play Lowell, who they are going to play now. Don't forget games 1 and 2 come up Wednesday and Thursday at Harbour Station. What's your logic behind that now?
Well, I don't know if I said I don't think they I don't think they wanted to lose the games, but right. I really think in the back of their minds, the back of the team's mind, they preferred to play Lowell in the first round rather than either Springfield or Providence. And I really feel maybe Quebec felt the same way.
Okay.
I'm not saying they went through those games because they didn't. They played well in both. They outshot Quebec badly in both games, but I don't think they're unhappy, though, the fact that they're playing Lowell in the first round.
Why would they? No. No, I mean, they've had a good record against Lowell all year, and it's going to make for interesting conversation down at the rink. I know that the parent club in Calgary made a lot of moves over the past couple of weeks that have people shaking their heads, and we'll get to that in a minute. Want to mention that they've got a few semi-fresh bodies coming down from Calgary for the playoff run. Steve Bejan, Chris Clark are still both injured, but they will be down here in St. John. When they can get back in the lineup, we're not sure. We'll keep you posted. Benoit Graton and Sergei Varlamov are coming down, and that's certainly not going to help their drive for the Calder Cup. And not going to hurt, I should say.
That's right. And Lee Sorokin as well, who played the final game in Quebec City.
Exactly.
And that's a key, too, having him back in defense. I mean, Scoville had a lot of pressure on him back there. I mean, St. Croix's played great as well. Odette's come along. I mean, I'll say it again. I've said it right from the beginning. I really believe that this team can at least go to the league semifinals.
Is it a disappointing season if they don't get out of their own division at least?
Well, I think it is because if they get past Lowell, which I think they should, the only way Lowell will beat us if Leongo stands on his head, which he's capable of doing.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just like Tugnut a couple of years back.
Exactly.
So, it will be disappointing because the odds are they will come up against Quebec in the second round.
You bet.
And if they lose to Quebec, it's going to be disappointing because they've outplayed that team so many times this year.
Badly.
And they just haven't been able to do it. They've either cost the game themselves, or it's been great goaltending or whatever. But they really have our number, and it's going to be disappointing if we come up against those guys and we don't beat them.
Now that does set up a great Atlantic Division final. There's no question about that. When you see Quebec, St. John, like you said, it's been tight games all season long. A couple of blowouts there. I think there was one where they got hammered 6-1 or 6-0 in Quebec late, just before Christmas. But you look at this matchup, and I mean, is there any way that the Flames can beat Quebec if they do meet them in the Atlantic Division final?
Oh, sure.
What do they have to do to get over that hump, I guess, is the
well,
question.
you know, I just don't know if they have to do anything different, to be honest. I mean, look at the last two games. They outshot them, what was 34-22 on Friday night, and they outshot them 37-20-something on Saturday night. But, you know, people are going to say shots don't mean anything, but I really believe they do in these two cases.
Sure.
And like I say, we beat them in overtime here a couple weeks ago. There was another game we lost by a goal that we blew the game in the third period, let's be honest about it. And Jaguar hasn't played well against them. That's another key. I mean, he has to turn it around and play great hockey because he's a man right now.
You bet. We're going to look forward to that. Of course, Mathiel is injured, and hopefully he'll be able to get back in the lineup real soon as well. Speaking of those Friday and Saturday night games, we're going to go to the highlight package right now. Aaron Kennedy had the call from Harbor Station on Friday night, and the TVNB crews, of course, were in Quebec because the Wildcats are playing up there against Rimouski, so they are keeping an eye on the action, and here's some of the highlights from both those games.
McBain holds in left side as he's crunched by Botterill. In behind the net, it's Xavier DeLille looking in front. Steps in front, backhand, they score! I believe it was Xavier DeLille who knocked it right in on the backhand wraparound. Ward was parked in front, but I think it's DeLille's 17th of the season. The Citadels have a 1-0 lead. Now moves it to Shelley, who gives it to McLean, playing it into the corner. Shelley fires it off the side of the net. Picked up by Petrovickian from McLean. Shot! Brett McLean, a three-time winner in the pregame awards ceremony, has his 15th goal of the season, and this game is tied at 1. Xavier DeLille, who has the Quebec goal, moves it for Ward along the left wing boards. Back to DeLille in the corner. He centers. Robida scores! We've seen that movie before. The Citadels love to get the puck to Robida. 2 goals on 6 shots. An awful clearing attempt as he tried to shoot it around. And it was centered, and now we're going to have a fight. Curtis Sheptak dropping the gloves in the corner with Chris Albert of Quebec. Albert has more penalty minutes than any other Citadel, although he accumulated the bulk of those when he was playing with the Philadelphia Phantoms. And they wrestle one another to the ice, and penalties will be assessed. There was an initial penalty, and I believe that was against Albert. The puck to Albert, he loses it. Tropper can't do anything with it. Albert brings it out to center, and he got smoked by Bo, and there's going to be a penalty. And you knew that Dean Warren was going to be watching anytime Albert was bringing the puck up ice. Dave Morissette and Jeff Staples. Morissette lands a right and another right. And Staples, who had the first shot, has to wrestle Morissette. Morissette knocks Jeff Staples down. Duran with a shot, but the period ends. And now we've got Albert and Odette mixing it up. And Jaguar comes in and grabs a hold of Albert, keeping him away from the fray. And now Albert's really incensed, and Jaguar goes over and gives him another shove. So frustration very much evident here as the Flames trail 3-1 after 2. For Dave Roach, his shot is wide. Fata picks it up behind the net. He skates away from DeLille, moves it to St. Croix. Lines, fires, score! That's the first time Chris St. Croix has scored a pro goal on anyone other than Jimmy Waite. It's his 5th of the season. 16:05 to go in the third, and the Flames trail 3-2. Jonathan DeLille plays it into the St. John zone. Albert got hammered by Bowen. What a huge open ice hit that was. Bowen put the shoulder into Albert and sent him into the floor. And now Albert's going to be penalized for knocking down Jody Shelley. A silly play by Chris Albert. I called it an open ice hit. It wasn't an open ice hit. It was right up against the glass, and Bowen let him have it. But the game is going to end, and it will come down to game 80 tomorrow night as the Citadels win 3-2.
And in AHL action last night, the regular season game, between the Quebec Citadels and the St. John Flames. St. John already down 1-0 as a goal by Jason Ward, his 19th of the season, shorthanded, coming at the 5:32 mark of the first period. And then brawls erupted across the floor here as you see Morissette and Shelley going toe-to-toe in one of the heavyweight battles that were shown through the evening. Really the question of the night was who was going to win the game and end up first place and division champion, thus having home ice advantage throughout. And it was 1-0 here at the end of the first. And into the second period as well, Ashim, with his 9th of the year, makes it 2-0 at the 17-minute mark. And in the third period, Gorin, he had a short-handed goal as he steps in around the goaltender to make it 3-1, and that's the way it ended here at the Colisée Pepsi.
So it will be interesting to see if the Flames can pull out of this mini slump heading into the playoffs. 2 back-to-back losses to Quebec as they get set to play Lowell in the first round of the AHL playoffs. Best-of-5 series gets started this Wednesday night. Game 1 goes at Harbor Station. Game 2 following night Thursday. Tickets are still available if I can get my tongue to work here, they are available at all the regular outlets. So make sure, it was great to see over 5,000 down there last Friday, so make sure you get out there, catch some of that Calder Cup fever, and go Flames go. We go up to the Parent Club for a minute. Saturday night, Calgary taking on Edmonton. 5-time Stanley Cup winner, 2-time Canada Cup winner, a man who is destined to be in the NHL Hall of Fame. Grant Fuhr playing in his final game. I think it was a foregone conclusion. He wouldn't be back after this year. Injury plagued, had a small stint down here in St. John. Brian Sutter taking a lot of heat for not starting Grant Fuhr. Calgary way out of the playoff race. There's no chance. The game doesn't mean anything to them. Yeah. He doesn't start Fuhr, he starts Freddie Brathwaite. Brathwaite was commented as saying, yeah, he kind of felt bad about the situation because he felt like he was stuck right in the middle. Learned a lot from Grant all season long. Grant hadn't played in about 2.5, 3 weeks. Sutter said he didn't want to put him out there and embarrass him. But you got to be thinking there's a lot of nostalgia going on there. A lot of the fans probably came out to see Fuhr playing his last game. He's playing against a team where he totally shined and really came to the forefront as one of the great goaltenders in the NHL, Edmonton. And he plays in the third period, and you know, you got to be wondering what's going on through Sutter's head.
I mean, it's one of those situations, you know. Most situations like that, you'll talk to people, and you'll have people on each side, you know, of a discussion. But this one, I've talked to a lot of people on this, and I can't find one person that agrees with Sutter for not starting him. I mean, it's shocking, really, to try to figure what he's thinking there. Was he trying to make him look bad? I don't know. He certainly did, in my opinion.
Sure.
He said he didn't want to make him look bad, but he stuck him in cold in the third period. And the guy must have felt like a piece of plywood in there. He certainly did look like it.
Hadn't played in 3 weeks. He's got to be stiff.
But especially after sitting on the bench for you know 2 periods of hockey too. No warm up. I mean, I'm just shaking my head over that one. I mean, I think Sutter's just bought him to the ticket right out of town. I think I really believe that.
They said on the game Saturday night that Sutter would be back, and for the reason being that Calgary has a lot of great talent. I mean, their slogan in Calgary was the Young Guns, and they certainly do have quite a few coming up through the system. They said that Sutter will be back because the players have got to know him over the past couple of years. They know his system, and they don't want to throw these kids all out of whack by bringing a new head coach in, brand new system. They've missed the playoffs now 4 years in a row, but you got to think if he is back next year, Al Coates and Brian Sutter are both going to be on the hot seat right from game 1 because this city needs a winner. They need a team that at least can make it into the playoffs.
Well, I mean, in order, in my opinion, the way to get into Brian Sutter's doghouse is to go up and score goals. I mean, come on, give me a break. Nat McKelly, why wasn't he a regular in Calgary?
Sure.
Look what he's done in Atlanta. Martin St. Louis got him on a checking line, body checking and hammering people. That's not his style of play. I mean, guys like St. Louis and Don McKelly were down here, and Chris Dingman's a regular in Calgary.
In Sutter's defense, he might say that he's trying to toughen St. Louis up.
Oh, come on. You don't toughen a little guy like that up. His role is to go up there and skate and score goals. He shouldn't be out hammering people. He'll get hurt.
Sure.
And Sutter, I think, almost wants to see that. He doesn't want him on his team.
You heard it first, right?
Yes. No doubt about it.
No, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out next year because if they are going under the philosophy, they don't want, you know, the kids to get rattled with a new system. They want to see if they can get back online and maybe make the playoffs next year. But you got to believe that, man, by the All-Star break, if they aren't at least 10 games over 500, Sutter can kiss that job goodbye.
It should be interesting next year to see how he works with Fata and Tkachuk because those guys aren't what you call tough players either. I mean, they're skilled players and they don't get involved in the heavy going. I mean, maybe they'll be in his doghouse next year too. They're both top 5 draft picks. I hope it doesn't happen.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. There's no doubt about that. We're going to head to break, but don't go away because we still got the NHL playoffs to talk about. And Vijay Singh winning his first green jacket yesterday in Augusta, Georgia. As we head into the break, the Bantam A provincial finals were held almost 2 weeks ago at the LBR. Moncton took on St. John. What a fabulous game. Double overtime was the winner where it was scored. And here's some of the highlights to take a look at. Make sure you come back and join us.
The culmination of the provincial Bantam A hockey playoffs saw St. John's Harbor City Flames taking on the Moncton Hawks for the final match. It was a seesaw battle all the way. Randy Gilmore put St. John ahead 4-3 in the third period, and things are looking good for St. John. Randy McQuaid ties it up again at the 13:09 mark. The game goes into overtime. In fact, it goes into double overtime until Josh Pelche slides the sudden death winner by from a wide-angle shot. It was a long, hard game, and emotions were high on both sides. Bob Allen spoke with the winning scorer and the coaches following the game.
Overtime win. You scored the winning goal. Give us your thoughts on scoring that goal, Josh.
I don't know. I was just coming around the net, and the puck was just laying there. And I came around the net. I just wanted to dump it in front of the net, and I accidentally went through the goalie's legs and spread right through past the goal line and won the tournament.
It's been a great weekend for you fellas. After your first overtime win, what did the coaches tell you in the dressing room?
Well, they were really happy with us because there's a lot of teamwork involved in the whole tournament and a lot of heart and dedication. This was our primary goal from the whole season, so it was to win the provincial championships, and we did it.
I guess coming in, in a tournament like this, you play 4 round-robin games, anything can happen. I guess with kids, it all depends who's going to show up. So we wanted to come down here and hopefully play 4 good games and get to the final, and then, as you see today, double overtime. I mean, I think I lost 10 years here in this game today, but it was a great tournament.
Well, the weekend was great. Our teams played incredible all season long. 2 championship teams going into the finals today. What can you say? A double overtime loss and a heartbreaker for our boys, but I think it's part of growing pains, part of growing up. There's got to be a winner, there's got to be a loser, and if we would have won the game, I think we would have felt a little bad for them as they do for us. As I say, 2 championship teams and great game.
I want to congratulate the St. John Minor Hockey Association. You guys did a fantastic job down here. The refereeing was second to none. I mean, these guys called 5 great games that we had. To the organizing committee, that everything. What can you say about the tournament? It was very well run, very professional, and it was an experience that all teams, will remember, I'm sure, for a lifetime. And I feel bad for the St. John Flames, coming up on the second, the second side of a score with an overtime loss like that, and I really feel for them. But it's a tough loss.
Well, thank you very much. Bruce and I being a little animated here in the studio, we're watching some of those highlights, and we thank Bobby Allen for that report. Bob, doing a great job for us as a Cub reporter, I guess we could say, just being at the LBR constantly, like I told him a couple of weeks ago when he was here. He's usually got the sleeping bag laid out there because he's always at the rink, but we thank Bobby for that report.
You get the rumor, though?
Rumor.
He's taking over for Steve Stone on WGN doing the Cubs games. Actually, he's got more life on him than Steve Stone has.
Steve Stone, welcome to Wrigley Field. Anyway, baseball, we'll try to get into that a little bit later if we get the time. NHL playoffs get underway, and of course, you always love the second season. We've got to talk about Montreal before we get rolling here. Yeah, Montreal gave it a great A effort. You look at the amount of man games they lost, over 500 man games. Well, they shattered the record this year. They were a banged-up team. Alain Vigneault, you got to think he's coming back next year. This is probably his last kick at the can, though, if he doesn't get things organized and get, off to a good start, because they get off to a brutal start, and everybody thought, this is it. The demise of the Habs has finally arrived. All the Leaf and Bruin fans out there cheering hard, but they did make a good run for it. Just simply ran out of games and ran out of time and ran out of steam, basically.
Yeah, I'll give Terrion and Terrion. Oh, dear. I'll give the guys up front, him and Raziano, I'll give them both credit. I mean, when they first took over, neither one with really any experience at those particular jobs.
Nope.
And I thought they made some bad moves early, but they've both grown into the jobs quite well. And give Raziano credit. He's made some good trades recently for the Habs.
Absolutely, I mean, he has.
And I hope they keep the both of them there now because they are developing a pretty good young team there right now. And it's hard for us Habs fans being out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a hockey fan, but you just don't have that interest like you normally do to watch the playoffs.
No.
I'll watch them, but
Sure.
But it's just not the same.
Just root for any Canadian team that's left to bring hockey's holy grail back home where
Except
it belongs.
Toronto.
There you go. Speaking of Toronto, Eastern Conference gets underway Wednesday. Leafs against Ottawa. Both are kind of stumbling into the playoffs.
Yes.
So Ottawa gets beat last week by the Islanders. Turns around, beats Montreal 3-0 in their own barn. The Leafs kind of stumbling a little bit. Brian Berard, big loss on the blue line for them. But you always got to factor in Curtis Joseph. Tom Barrasso, he should be ready to go by Wednesday night to start. He's not going to be ready?
Blaine's starting in the first game,
Yeah, but he's been playing well for them.
Yes, he has.
How do you see this series breaking down? Does this go 7 or is this over quick?
Ottawa beat Toronto 5 out of the 7 games they played this year.
Yes, they did.
Therefore, I take the Leafs in 6 in this series.
Leafs in 6.
Does that make sense?
Nope.
I think the Leafs have a better team than Ottawa, to be honest. And
So these are Bruce's picks. I'm circling
Leafs
them here.
in 6.
Leafs 6. Okay, Devils against Florida. Now the Devils.
Oh boy.
Here's a team that's Jekyll and Hyde big time. I mean, Robbie Ftorek gets fired with, 6 games left in the regular season. Larry Robinson is brought in. Now, the word was the players hated Ftorek. They didn't like him anymore. They weren't going to play for him. And that was evident because they had only won 3 of their final 18 before Robinson came in. Robinson's there. Still kind of stumbling. They don't look that hot right now. But is this a team that stumbles into the playoffs, goes through their mini slump, and boom, all of a sudden they turn into the rejuvenated Devils of '95 when they won the Cup?
Now, the same things happened this year that happened the last 2 years. They played Martin Brodeur too many games. Looks to me like he's a bit tired. If he's not in his game, they're not going to beat Florida. So I say Florida in 6.
Florida in 6.
Well, New Jersey is just dropping a sack of potatoes. Florida in 6.
Well, you got to factor in Pavel Bure.
Yes.
Trevor Kidd not playing great, but he's not playing bad.
Pavel Bure, yeah.
Just let me circle this here. Florida in 6. Okay, Philly against Buffalo. Now, Buffalo, of course, is battling Montreal for that last playoff spot, so anybody who beats Buffalo is aces in my book. But Philadelphia going through a bit of turmoil of their own. They got a rookie goaltender. You look at the factor with the Eric Lindros thing that's been going on for the past couple of weeks. He's been stripped of the captaincy. They say he will be back for the playoffs. Said he's feeling much better. He's off the medication now, no more headaches, so he might even be back for the first round. Does Philadelphia get over this emotional roller coaster they've been going through? Bobby Clark and Lindros mend fences and get down to business?
Well, that's a tough one to call right there. I mean, I don't think Hasek's played this year, obviously, like he has in the past. Unless he turns it on in the playoffs and plays like he has in the past 6 or 7 years. Boucher and Philadelphia will win that series in 7 games.
Look at the way Gratton, though. I mean, the pickups at Buffalo Bay, they were the busiest during the trade deadline. There's no question. Gilmore's been an instant impact with that team. Gratton's been playing well for them. Have they got enough mixture of youth, speed, and experience on that team to make it to the final again this year?
Yeah, they do, but I don't think they will. I mean, they certainly, you know, when you say they're going to 7 games in the series, it could go either way.
Sure.
And if they get by Philadelphia, they could go to the final, but I think Philly will take them in 7.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. We got to speed her up here a little bit. Washington taking on the Penguins. Washington just been the quiet sleeper all year. Nobody expected them after the All-Star game. They really came on like gangbusters. Pittsburgh did as well, playing a little bit better. Jagger says he's still not feeling 100%, but if he's in the lineup, period, you always got to factor him in.
4 straight for Washington.
Really?
They've been the best team in the Eastern Conference the second half of the year. So
okay, let's slide over to the Western Conference. Edmonton taking on the defending Stanley Cup champion Dallas Stars. Does Edmonton even have a chance here? I mean, are they going to make some noise or just make it close?
Well, they'll make it close, but I don't think they'll win more than 1 game. So Dallas in 5.
Dallas in 5. Gotcha.
As long as Belfort can stay at the hotel lobbies.
You look at St. Louis against the Sharks. The Sharks have been known to upset. I mean, they did it to Detroit a couple of years. They've been known for that first-round upset. But St. Louis, man, what a strong team. I mean, you look at the goaltending they've got, goals against average combined just over 2 for the entire season. They've got a great mixture of experience, youth, a couple of players that have been there before, made the trek to the Holy Grail. I mean, you got to figure that they are going to eliminate the Sharks in a hurry.
Well, they've got the best player, in my mind, the best player in hockey this year, Chris Pronger. Not only should he win the Norris Trophy, he should win the MVP.
Wow.
He's top plus minus. He kills every penalty. He plays every power play. Oh, he's been the best, and they'll win in 4 straight over San Jose. They've dropped big time, haven't they?
4 straight.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Detroit against Los Angeles. The Kings have kind of a resurgence there heading into the home stretch.
Yeah.
Detroit, hey, you always got to factor in Detroit. You got Shanahan. The big question is the goaltending. Osgood hasn't really looked that sharp, and you go to Kenny Reggett. There's a journeyman who's been around for many years who would love to win the Stanley Cup, but Detroit really made a big drive, and they want to bring hockey back, or the Stanley Cup back to Hockeytown. Can they do it this year? Or?
No. They'll beat LA though in 6.
Okay, LA in 6. Last one.
No, Detroit in 6.
Detroit in 6. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Phoenix against Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado. If it's not a sweep, it'll be 5 games for Colorado.
5 games. Perfect. Just have to make mention as well. Vijay Singh, man, what a performance at Augusta yesterday, Sunday. Looked like he might slide a little bit coming into the home holes, but just held it together. His putter was just magic yesterday. So congratulations to Vijay Singh on winning the 2000 Masters in Augusta, Georgia. Bruce, you're on the road, man. I don't know when you'll be back. Hopefully you'll be back before we wrap up for the season, and we thank you for tuning in tonight. And don't forget, cheer on those St. John Flames. Wednesday, Game 1. Game 2 goes Thursday, both at Harbor Station. Get out and buy some tickets. Have yourself a great night and have yourself a great week. We'll see you again Monday night at 7 o'clock.